this is the portion of the program you've all been waiting for. I'm Jeanne Bracken, and I'm the retired reference librarian and the curator at the moment of the Town of Lincoln Archives. And it has been my pleasure to recognize today, this is about Lincoln legends and legacies, and one of Lincoln legends is Peg Martin.
Antiquities.
And she's left many legacies for us in the town. Margaret Muchler Martin, and then that triple L, any relation
Yes,
to that?
I forgot to buy the stock.
Oh darn. Has been a longtime supporter of all of Lincoln's history and of the archives. She was a person who came to the library in early 2000s and said, we have a big anniversary coming up in 2004, and I think we should dedicate that anniversary to the archives. And so it came to be, and we appreciate that. She's written a number of books, and we have 3 of them that are on display out in the lobby, in the bridge. She's been a great supporter of mine the whole time that I've been working for the town of Lincoln.
I've watched you grow.
Yeah, well, I was not really into the history when I first came here, and I'm a real convert now. And I think at first I was a real disappointment to Peg. So I think
you learned.
But I think I've redeemed myself. When she of course spends part of the year, has been spending part of the year in Florida. And when she was in Florida, when she was in town, I would call her almost as often as I would call Jack when I first came to town to get questions answered. And when she was in Florida, her contact information was taped to the monitor in at the reference desk, so I could get her at the drop of a hat. She's going to be moving now to Key West, and we're going to get the contact information, and we're going to put it on speed dial at the reference desk. And she's not rid of us yet. She's written a book about the Codman family and the Codman farm. She wrote Inheritance, which is a book about Lincoln. And as a result, there is an inheritance collection in the archives, a box of materials that went towards the creation of Inheritance. She, with Jack, was a narrator of a video called Seeds of Separation about Lincoln in the Revolution. And she wrote a history of the Lincoln Public Library, also with Jack. And then apparently Peg saw a gap in the vital records for public searching, so she compiled Register of Births, Marriages, and Deaths in the Town of Lincoln, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, 1845 to 1879, of which there are several copies in the library. We have a plaque, a gorgeous plaque, for Peg, presented to Margaret M. Martin, town historian, in appreciation of many years of dedicated service to the town of Lincoln, Massachusetts, May 22nd, 2011. And the time is... There will also be, we will be presenting, but not as formally, a sketch of your house in Lincoln by Peter Sugar. Will be created for you. He is at the moment recovering from carpal tunnel surgery, so we have to wait for him to be recovered. But he will do that. We'll have it framed and made available for you. And with our gratitude for all your help and all your support and everything over the years. I just really appreciate it. I did want to say too that and Peg will have an opportunity to say a few words in just a minute. I'm going to speak very quietly. I wanted to thank the supporters of this event today, and that includes, of course, the Town Archives Advisory Committee, and specifically Ann Donaldson, who was one of the supporters of this event, and Jenny Peterson, who also did a lot to make this event happen today. She provided the cake, among other things. There are light refreshments. We ask you to enjoy them far, far away from the room where these documents are. And I have packed my pen and it is in my pocket because I don't want anything to happen. But we're very pleased that you all came, and we hope that we know that it was worth your time. And we're going to give Peg an opportunity to say a few words if you'd like. You want to stand closer to the microphone because you're even shorter than I am, which is going.
I'd like to say a few words in support of the Lincoln Library. Because when we moved to town, I came up to get a library card. And when I checked out and got the card, she said, you live in Lincoln? I said, yes, we just bought a house. Oh, she said, oh, what house did you buy? I said, we bought an old house and we hope to fix it up. We bought our house from the Creelmans. Oh, she said, you ought to call Peggy,
Newton.
Right, Peggy and Harlan Newton. And I said, oh yes, just call her anytime. So I think that Astrid Donaldson called her. Because when I called her, she said, oh yes, we knew people in that house. In fact, we bought the floorboards in your attic to do some remodeling. And then she said, and there were some doors, we bought them too. And if you want to remodel the house, we suggest Wynne Johnson. And that was who we hired because he did it with respect, although one of his carpenters came in and said, the best thing to do with this house would be put a cable around it and get a big tractor, pull it down. But he was very nice, yes. And so then Margaret Flint came to know me. Our daughters Abigail and Kate were the same age. And the park came to town for one thing. And the architects and so on, and the historians of the park came running around. They'd say, we want to see the old houses in town to make some comparisons. And Bob Ronshheim said, and of course if you do a title search, your house will be worth more. Well, we all did because there was a great deal of interest because the bicentennial was coming on. That was on about 1960. And then Russ Coyne came and he looked at the buildings, and he was your architect who took all those pictures. And then the park is the one that paid for the reproductions of the microfilms and everything of the old manuscripts and all the books you have in the library. Thank you to the park. So it's very appropriate, and it's all gone smoothly. And then, as when Margaret Flint said, "What should we do for the bicentennial?" I've been working in the Concord Library because we didn't have anything. I said we ought to build a repository for what we have. And so, oh, that's a good idea. So she and Warren Flint got Sumner Smith and some other people to go over and take a tour of the Concord repository collections. And lo and behold, Sumner Smith and some other people built the first one as a gift to the town in 1975. The town never knew about it. Well, then as time went on, so many people had given such wonderful things, they should have been cataloged. And once again, I went to the trustees and suggested that for the 2004, the bicentennial, whatever it was, 150 of the town, they should do something about cataloging it. And then they did. They went out and did it. And she got the archivist from the American Antiquarian Society in Worcester, and he was just great. And he had corresponded with the man who wrote the book about the Lincoln houses. And the people out there in the American Antiquarian Society had all the papers of Harriet Merrifield Forbes, who corresponded with Farrar. And they said, in fact, her daughter gave her all her royalties from her books to the Antiquarian Society, and that supported it. Her daughter was Harriet Forbes, Paul Revere in the world he lived in, Johnny Tremaine. And so that's when I went out and got reproductions of all the other things that Harriet Merrifield Forbes had photographed in Lincoln. And they're in the most recent book for that period. So it's been a wonderful association. And Jeanne when there would be the Minutemen meetings about doing archival work and things, Jeanne would fall asleep, she would be tired. But I learned that from people in Concord. But in time she stayed awake and look what she's become. And so you have this great thing. And then I knew that we weren't compatible with the laws of the state of Massachusetts. So I went to Concord and talked to the town clerk in Concord, said, they've got to get someone, and I just happened to get the other day when they were repairing the computer stuff in there, and so they printed it all up for me, and the previous town clerk gave it to the town of Lincoln to know that the responsibility of the town meant that somebody employed by the town had to be in the library too, and so it all came together. And it's wonderful, and now you've got it. Congratulations.
Please join us for cake and more conversation out away from the documents.